we start, thank you for Stolen for hosting us. Thank you for to Mass for hosting like the other pop up that is today, tomorrow, and Saturday. We're having a group ride tomorrow. We're having a race on Saturday. And thank you to the whole Weis team for coming over all the way to Europe. That is pretty sick. And also thank you to Stéphane and Quentin from Departement.Global who did all of the visuals and the reels and basically everything you saw on Instagram. They also made t-shirts and zines that are available over there that you can see after, among the many crazy bikes that are around here. I guess we can start. Yeah? No, it's fine. Okay. So I'll just do a little easy presentation. So on this side, you have the Weis team, and on this side, you have the Stolen team. And I guess we can start with you guys doing a little introduction about yourself and what you do. I'll give you the mic back.
Hi, my name's Fin.
And my name is Romain.
And we're the two frame builders from Stolen Garage. We set up Stolen Garage about 4 years ago, and we had just a workshop. We were doing the frame building, and just over 2 years ago, we set up this space, which is like a multidisciplinary space, which has the coffee shop and the food side, as well as the normal sort of workshop and the frame building and frame painting.
My name's Cole. I started Weis Manufacturing technically like maybe 12 years ago, but more officially more like 6 years ago. And I started the brand and I do all the welding and like 3D modeling, design, sort of all the random stuff. And here you go.
I'm Tom. I'm the mechanic.
And I'm Logan. I do all of the finishing and run the website.
Cool. I guess my first question would be, so how did you guys get into frame building? Was there like a special moment or someone that introduced you to frame building, and why?
My first experience of frame building was I used to live in Birmingham, which is the city where Reynolds Tubing is made. So there's a lot of old frame builders there, and there was a guy called Andy Perks who had stopped making frames for a while because in the 90s everyone switched from steel to aluminium and frames made in Asia. So he stopped and he slowly got back into it, and he was showing people his workshop and things like that. So I just went to take photos, and it just like I was inspired by what he was doing, and that's like create the spark in me. And after I went to a frame building school called the Bicycle Academy, which was in near Bristol in the UK, and did a couple of courses with them, and then slowly but surely it developed from there, and then moved to France and set up with some friends Stolen Garage.
I got into frame building. Well, first I obviously got into bikes, fell in love with bikes. And then in college, I needed a job. So I went to this local frame builder called Horse Cycles. And I went to his workshop and asked for a job. And he ended up giving me a job. And I think the dysfunctional nature of his shop pushed me to start my own shop. And that's how I got into frame building.
So when it comes to frame building and more generally like making bikes and painting them, finishing them, building them, how does your approach differs from like being in Brooklyn versus being in Paris, I guess?
I don't know. I guess the city, even if it's a different one, brings an identity on the bikes, and the city, how the city moves, how the politics and climate, change the habits, make the our influence change our way of thinking the bicycle and how we can respond to whatever people needs.
You want to take this?
I think that Weiss's approach, coming from New York, we're able to lean into the gritty, innovative street culture aspect of it, and all of our backgrounds are skateboarding, dance music, and you're constantly seeing new things. And so with finishing, I think we get to take inspiration from what you see on the street, whether it's good or grimy, and use interesting colors, use interesting frame design. I think Cole is able to push the envelope forward, just coming from track bikes, making them individual. Even if you see a Weis raw locked up on the street, you know it's a Weis. So, yeah.
So you recently opened a showroom behind the shop in Brooklyn, and this space, well, you can see all the frame building happening, and people are getting lunch here. And my question would be, how does the people, like, do you feel connected with the people that are, whether in Brooklyn or in Paris, and how does that shape up future projects?
Yes, so this space was, we always wanted to have this space, which would be the multidisciplinary space, where we could have people see the process of making frames, because usually a frame builder is just hidden away in his garage somewhere, and you don't see the process, which you see a little bit more now with the internet and people doing reportage on that. So we wanted to have what we could say, like, illuminate the process of frame building, which is why we created this space.
I think one of the things that has like changed since we opened the showroom is realizing who our customer base is locally, because we get a lot of local orders and a lot of international orders. And our showroom is like pretty difficult to get to. Or it's not difficult, it's very far away. And so everyone who's shown up at the showroom is like, they are coming out of their way to see this company that they're really into. And we've like changed the way that we have things available, or make bikes, or have frames on the walls. Like, oh, we need these type of frame. Like, we need wheels available for people to show up and, you know, grab them or whatever. So, yeah, I feel like that's kind of changed a little bit how we use the showroom.
Paris and Brooklyn have, I mean, France and the US have such a strong identity. And, you know, as Tour de France, etc. in Europe, everything you guys have in the US. As frame builder, you're like in the nerdiest part of the culture, the cycling culture, I'd say. Do you see a gap between like the culture here in Europe and the culture that you guys have in the US in terms of cycling?
I think with the like the two cities are different, but with the globalization of the Western world, I think I don't really see any big gaps. It's I see a lot of similarities, especially because our culture in France comes like the past 20 years comes from the US. Fixed gear or even gravel bike, it started over there. So I guess, and it's big here as well. So even if we have our history, our own European history, I think there's a lot of similarities that comes from that.
Yeah, I for the most part agree with that. I think one thing that drives me a little nuts about the US is that it's yeah, well, I mean, part of it, yeah, it's the lifestyle. It's like, for example, when we went to Japan, it's very much a lifestyle, cycling, and, you know, this like recreation part of it all kind of blend together. And I feel like in Europe, it is also more like that because there's better bike infrastructure. In New York, I know so many people that are afraid to ride their bike because it's super dangerous. So you have to be really about it to do it. And I think the byproduct of that is people are really into really sporty bikes as opposed to like funky lifestyle, more cruiser sort of bikes. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, both of you make like custom, fully bespoke bikes for clients. So when it comes to the design process of the bike, is it more like 100% or 100% the client's vision, or is it more like the client will trust yours, or is it a healthy blend mix of both?
Yeah, generally customers are going to come to you with an idea of what they want and sort of like some specifications, like I want this bike to ride from Paris to Taiwan or something like that. So you're going to design it for their needs, their weight, the stuff they're going to carry, the routes they're going to take. So it really depends on the person. So some people have a more clear idea of what they want, and other people have a more general idea of what they want. Like we had our last customer, he just said, I'm going to cycle from north of America to south of the Americas. It's like, okay, like you talk about what they need and what they want to do. And then we will select the tubes that they need based on what they've said, their weight, their flexibility. So it's a back and forth process where you're trying to tease out of them the right information to select the right components and the right tubes and the right geometry.
Depending on how long form we want to do this, I think you guys could also contribute to this, but the basic structure that we have settled on is we do frame models, because I end up spending a ton of time. We don't use very many off-the-shelf parts, so I spend a ton of time designing dropouts, yokes. Even our head tubes and our bottom brackets are things we design and machine. So I get a little. It's tricky to deeply customize just like some random bike. So we'll have a gravel model, for example, and if someone wants to go touring on it, we can add bottle bosses, we can change the geometry to be more touring oriented, but we try to stay within the frame model. And then when it comes to customization, finishing and build, we go like completely deep on that, and you guys can kind of get into that.
Yeah, the build is like a lot of back and forth. So it's like I usually will send like sometimes up to 5 full build sheets, and people will pick like, oh, I like this section from this and this from this, and I want to do a SRAM Red Explore group set as like the core, and then it's just an unbelievable amount of back and forth. Yeah.
I keep things fast and loose with finishing. I think I always ask them for photos, for inspiration, color palettes that they like, and then I try to send techniques for me to try to keep the ball rolling forward. So I think that we get a lot of trust with our customers for finishing, which is a blessing. I've been doing a lot more dealer's choice the past 2 years, which, if you don't know, it's you basically just say, I like the color green. Here's a photo of a Porsche that I like. And I'll try to create a scheme that is way more intense than the price that they paid for the finish. And they never see it until it arrives at their door. So when I see people go for dealer's choice, it gets me super excited. And it kind of keeps us on our toes of how can we keep reinventing the wheel, especially doing X amount of bikes a year, trying to make one-of-one schemes for each of those. It can be tricky at times, but yeah, I think we get a lot of trust.
We also have a policy where we can veto anyone's paint ideas. It's literally in the form you sign when you order your bike. Because we've found that people are better off if we tell them what they like rather than them telling them what. Yeah. So yeah, we do try to make people let go of maybe what their preconceived notions of what their bike should look like or be like.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to come back on finishing. So when we talked about my bike, I sent you an image of a Japanese bowl and a desert, and that was it. And you're like, yeah, I can work with that. No worries. Is it like the usual, or do you have people that have like very, very precise things they want to do?
I think that our customer base is a mixed bag because it's a lot of track bike people who maybe want something freakier, and then maybe a racy gravel bike guy who wants to keep things timeless. Timeless. So I try to take as much as somebody wants to give me, and then find a common ground, and then find a way to make it new to me. So if that
Yeah, that
answers
totally
your
makes
question,
sense. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we've both of you making custom bikes. Would you say you see more bikes as like, you know, with all the finishing and everything, like a work of art, or is it more as a tool, or is it something in between? What would be like your vision of like a custom bike?
Okay. I think it definitely has to be a tool first, because the function brings the means, the heart, the creativity brings the sensibility, and the sensibility, I think, managed to give a sense of ownership to the bike, to the objects, and it's super important for the sorry for my English. No, it's super important to have like a crafty, hearty side of it, but definitely it has to be a tool first, for me at least.
Yeah, if you use anything a lot, you gotta really like it, you know? So, yes, 100%. It's gotta function. That's first and foremost, but it's gotta have your flavor. You gotta really love it, and then you're gonna use it more, and you're gonna build a relationship with it. So, yeah. I mean, there is a saying like, you know, all bikes feel the same when you're going downhill and you close your eyes or whatever. So it's like, you know, the technical stuff is super fun, and we definitely get in the weeds with that, but ultimately it is about the flavor and just loving your ride. Yeah.
So when I interview frame builders and I ask them like, hey, what's your favorite part about frame building? Most of them would be, oh, when I deliver the thing to the client and I get to see their reaction. If it wasn't for that, what would your favorite part be?
Yes, it's tricky. I think it depends on each frame builder. And it changes from time to time. So I think at the moment I'm really just enjoying developing. So we start doing like TIG welded bikes, so moving into titanium, 3D printed stuff as well. So the design side of it would be the most interesting part of me now. Moving on from when you start out, you're like really interested about doing the weld and doing a perfect weld and making sure it's the best you can. And then as you grow and develop your skills and you master that, you want to move on to new things and constantly pushing yourself and the product.
Yeah, we can go long form on this one too, because you get, you know, I weirdly avoid customers. I don't really like to do that. I mean, like, we have great customers, whatever. I just don't really like doing the bike handoff. I like hearing about how much they love their bike, and hopefully they do, but I don't like the people part of it that much. But just to, but I do. But on a positive note, I do. Yeah, like, bikes are like a perfect mix of so many things. You know, it's like a trickle down from F1 and aerospace and all these like really cool new emerging technologies, and trying to make something that's basically perfect even better is like a really hard challenge. So yeah, like, really holds my interest.
I think Cole means that he's too busy to talk to the customers. I think my favorite part is when I get to integrate like something that normally shouldn't be able to work with a build. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. It's not compatible. I'm gonna make it compatible. And then seeing that like work really, really well is like, that's kind of what I live for.
Following up on Cole's point, I do all the administrative work, so you'll be emailing back and forth with me. As a painter, I think my favorite is just seeing the bikes getting used and abused naturally. Your paint chips, your anodizing rubs away. So seeing the obvious signs that somebody's actually using it and they don't just collect dust on a wall mounted, that gets me really excited. So
What would you say is one of the biggest challenge of being an independent frame builder today?
Money.
No idea. Surviving. Yeah, no. Maybe a big challenge is to make people see how much time and effort we put in the bike, and that they realize all the work that is inside. Usually, because of all the industrialization of the bicycle the past years, I think we think it's something very easy to get, and to manage to change that. Like a bike is to make a bike, it's a long process. So yeah, that would be amazing to change that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, 100%. You can't charge enough for these things. Really. They should be way more expensive. So yeah, that's one of the hardest parts is like you said, survival, and that, comes in many forms, but it is a labor of love. And people put a lot of energy into building frames. I'm sure any frame builder you'll ever talk to is super passionate about it. And yeah, it's just tough business. Yeah.
It sounds tough. So Weis has like a very, very strong visual identity, and Stolen, you have that sense of community that is like hard to find with other frame builders. And, like both in Brooklyn and Paris and other frame builders around the world, would you say like frame builders do influence each other, and like in which way?
Yes, definitely, because it's still a niche and a small world. I think, yeah, the work of other is very important, and I think one of the best way to describe it for my part was the bespoke bike show last year, where you can really see everyone coming together and talking and exchanging ideas, and really like a really big community, like a solid community. So yeah, definitely it's
I'm gonna give you this in 1 second. All right. Yes, for sure. As like on the frame building end of things, where I'm doing the technical like modeling and stuff, I mean, there's a ton of good ideas and really smart. That is kind of the curse of frame building, is that it's all really smart people like doing something that doesn't pay very well. So yeah, there's a ton of good ideas floating around, and that is definitely influential. And I think Logan would talk better about the paint, which is a big, we take a lot of influences from.
yeah, so with paint design, obviously I get a lot of inspiration from peers. There's a lot of people doing great stuff. I think to keep things original, speaking for myself with that, I try to pull influences from other things. Like, for example, the bike that Paul just built up last night, it's over there. It's fully integrated. With you sending me Desert and that bowl, I completely dodged your original, forget the name of that method, but the cracking, and I went straight for the texture of the bowl. And so trying to take things that I find and then do another aspect that maybe you didn't notice, I think keeps what we're doing original. Finding what you like, and then me being able to say, did you notice this part about it? I think works for originality while still being influenced.
Is there anything I didn't notice about it?
Keep looking at it.
All right, I'll keep looking at it. We have a bit more time. Does anyone have a question? No question? Oh, yeah. How do you make a living with frame building?
Yeah. I think talk about it. Yeah. It's definitely a labor of love, as we said before. So like you just got all your passion, you want to do it. So it's not just about the money, I think. I think anyone who's in frame building or frame painting or building bikes is doing it because they want to be super rich. It's because they love bikes, they love riding, they want to be out, they want to be in the streets, they want to be in the forest, and that's the real motivation. And in terms of making a living, I think that's a parallel that we could have between New York and Paris. Is they're expensive cities as well, so it's hard to make it work. But you've got that passion, so it keeps driving you forward. I think there are lots of other frame builders who will go out into the sticks or a bit further away where it's much cheaper, but you don't have that contact with the community, which is really important for us, and I guess for you guys as well. It's like your community is a big aspect of who you are, and it's like it's a two-way relationship. So it's a great business, but it doesn't pay that much.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's frame building on its own is not a good business. Yes, but what we are constantly moving towards is bikes as a lifestyle, which I think the bike world needs more of. And so how we're trying to spin it is by doing other things like soft goods and, community stuff and things that are around, part of the ecosystem of the bikes that we build that, help guide people who are interested in bikes into like what we think is cool and interesting. And I think that might be a good business. We'll find out.
All right. Do you have one last question?
Yeah, okay, I'm done. You want to talk?
Material? Yeah, let's ask about materials. You do steel. You do steel and titanium. Like,
And we used to do aluminum too. So.
yeah, okay. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, why did you stop doing aluminium?
It's such a pain in the ass. It's so hard. Like how we were doing it was twice as hard as making a titanium bike every single time. Makes a pretty cool bike, but I really had to, for my own mental health, I had to stop doing that.
Yeah, we do only steel and stainless steel bikes. I think we just love the material and how he reacts with the body, and it's just we're still thinking about doing titanium at some point. We have the equipment. It's just a matter of finding the people who would like to pay the price for it, and I guess.
So how do you guys feel about plastic bikes?
Okay. Yeah, we can get into that. Well, carbon is great. No shade on carbon if you're trying to ride a bike for like 2 years. But ultimately, like there are some incredible carbon custom frame builders out there. I don't know if I like fully understand the mindset behind someone buying a custom carbon bike, because yes, it can be repaired and so on, but it doesn't I don't feel the integrity in the material like you feel with steel or titanium. And honestly, I didn't feel that with aluminum either. Like the perceived value of something is important, and it just doesn't feel real to me. Yeah.
All right. Like a good old Sills Reel kind of vibe. Cool. Well, thank you so much for. Oh, one more question.
Yep.
Question. Since you're into frame building, what's your dream bike in a way? Is because since you're building frame, you're designing and stuff, is this idea changing, ever changing? Because you see so many frames, so many new stuff. I would like that. No, like that. What's your
Okay, as a frame builder that always see new shit, do you have a dream frame and is it always evolving?
I'm gonna kind of flip this one back as like, what's the dream bike for a customer? And that usually is a bike that can do everything, which is the worst bike ever. What you actually need is one bike for each discipline or each thing that you're gonna do. It can obviously like flex a little bit into one thing or another, but ideally you have your road bike for riding on the road, maybe go a little bit off road, but for the road, a gravel bike for doing gravel, mountain bike for doing gravel bike, track bike for doing city riding or track riding. So that's the best way to do it. So it depends what you want to do, and you've got to be more clear about what you want to do and not try and do everything with just one bike. Otherwise, you just have a bike that's not good at anything.
Yeah, I absolutely. That's constantly changing. Definitely due to customer interactions, like the bike behind us actually, which is our plus size gravel, which it seems to be the way the gravel world is moving right now. We built that because someone asked for it. And my initial reaction anytime a customer asks me to do something weird is no. And we ended up doing it, and it's like totally awesome. And now I built myself one, and we're building a bunch of them now. So yeah, it's constantly changing and evolving, and it's definitely from like the back and forth that we have with people and the bike world and whatnot.
follow-up question for the plus size gravel? Do you guys find inspiration in like the standards and components changing all the time, or are you annoyed by it?
Okay, so follow-up question for the plus size gravel
Just in general.
in general. So is like are the new standards always evolving more annoying than anything else, or it's actually pushing you to like innovate and stuff?
I think it depends on what the innovation is. Like, I think an annoying thing about the industry, especially when you're building up the bike, is they're just constantly changing standards just to change standards. So the new free hub body is actually better, and it changes from 11 speeds to 10 speed and stuff like that. So that's like a part marketing and part technological. So that side is annoying. But I think now with additive manufacturing from a frame building side of it, we're able to push things a little bit further than the standard like double triangle. So we can experiment with different forms and different shapes, which is going to be interesting to see where that goes in the future.
Yes, there was a period in time where standards were super annoying, and that was probably around the time, at least that I've been involved in frame building, when it went from quick release to through axle, from post mount to flat mount, and now we have UDH, which I actually love. But that period, which I don't know if I'm probably 2005 ish, around that time, was terrible. And now I think we're at a nice place with it. And look, I can't tell the future, but I think we're good for a little while. And and so yeah, I forgot what the question was, but all right.
Do you have any projects that both of you guys in cargo bikes?
Okay, so someone is asking if any of you guys have any projects into cargo bikes.
Yes, we do. Now we are building cargo long tail, so it's just starting, and with the explosion of cargo bikes in Europe, there's definitely thought or a place for something that would be connected or specialized for Paris, for our city, I guess. And yeah, we do some conversion as well. Some some nice little ads on bicycle that already exist to bring another solution to cargo possibilities.
No. but it'd be sick. Like, we have a bullet for the shop. They're great. It just, that makes my brain hurt a little bit thinking about doing that right now, but maybe in the far future. Here.
We'll do a tandem before we do a cargo bike.
How long, you store that bullet on the roof, right? How long it's been there?
2 years?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It comes down sometimes. Yeah.
It might be down right now. We don't know.
Okay. Any more questions? Yeah. Okay, so how can we make handcrafted and bespoke spikes more popular and, pushing people more towards frame building rather than just like something that is Taiwan made or Chinese made?
I think it'll be difficult to make bespoke bikes more accessible, but batch production, handmade, local bikes is definitely something that we could do, and we're doing that with our second brand, Charbon.
My opinion is that there will always be some form of glass ceiling with frame building, because you have to be a dedicated cyclist to see the value in having a custom built bike, custom geometry, custom finish, custom build. But I think that Weis's approach is trying to keep things funky and eye-catching, which comes down to all three of our jobs working together. And I think that we are currently doing a really good job of making a funky machine. And that makes frame building cool to people that don't understand the time that goes into it.
Let me add one quick thing. Yes. And I think, on your part, if you guys aren't custom frame builders, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming you're not custom frame builders. Like, having, building identity with your bike. That's like, it's such a positive thing. So, like, I don't know if you guys are into cars, but I think that's kind of a negative thing because they're like ruining the world. But bikes are good for the world. So if you can build your identity with your bikes and have cool things on your bike and make your bike look cool and make yourself look cool with your bike, that will help frame building. Yes.
More questions? Yep. So is there anything that you guys have been inspired by Stolen, or vice versa?
I think I was quite inspired by, and I had the same idea at a similar sort of time with the dropped seat stay, from my bike polo background. So we needed a really rigid, hard bike, and I wanted to make a bike similar to what they were doing. And then I saw that they already did, and I was like, "Fuck!"
You did.
Yeah.
One thing that we were inspired by, like Stolen as a place, is the showroom, because this space is obviously like so nice and like so well thought out, and a place that when someone comes in, no matter if they've heard of the brand or if they're hungry or not, it's like a nice place to be. And that's like a big goal of ours with our space, and of course creating a community around it.
Good job, guys. It's beautiful.
All right, we'll take one last question. Okay, someone's asking. Someone very fixed gear centric is asking if you guys are getting any more any fixed gear orders right now, or is fixed gear kind of dead?
Yeah, we just got an appointment for a tall bike, fixed tall bike. So it's not completely dead.
Tony wants to know if fixed gear is dead. I think that our titanium track model is probably our most selling bike as of the past year. We're seeing a lot of gravel bikes come through the shop right now, but the track bike, as of now, is Weiss's most sold frame.
You want to hit it? No. Yeah, track bikes are like our soul. So I think that's always going to be the core of what we do, and we keep getting orders for them. So yeah, definitely. Still alive. Don't worry.
All right, that's good to hear. Anything else? We good? Writing? Okay, let's do some writing. Right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone for being here today. Don't forget there's a group ride at Mass tomorrow. There is an alley on Saturday, and yeah, we're gonna do like a little DJ set, have a little good music time. Yeah, that's gonna be it.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you, Ben. Merci, c'était trop bien.